Alright, this is a build that actually I had for a while. I only made a recent change to it, just adding one new move, but anyways, so I'm calling this one the explosive build, because literally the whole move says just, oh right, it doesn't show you the character's move list from the pause menu. But anyways, I got Mighty Explosive Wave, Infinity Explosion, and Key Explosion, and the basic maximum charge. For ultimates, I have Final Explosion and Super Key Explosion. I say this is definitely a build that works for just about anyone. Oh, also I have Blaster Meteor for stamina break. So definitely you'll need a, what was it, QQ Bang? It was either QQ Bang or some other item I'm thinking of to give you a good amount of stamina in addition to a lot of ki, because definitely this is going to eat up your ki. Because for this one in particular, I'm using the female Saiyan and I have Super Saiyan Blue, well Super Saiyan Blue evolved. But first I want to show off Mighty Explosive Wave and Key Explosion. So the cool difference between them is how Key Explosion, you can actually hold it down to get more damage. A whole 4 bars. Whereas Mighty Explosive Wave, not as much damage and definitely, it still hits around you though. But actually leaves them stunned long enough for you to continue to combo. And you can combo into it pretty easily. So with it, you can either begin or extend combos. As far as ending them, yeah, you won't be able to really use it as a combo ender unless you hit them in a specific juggle state. But still, it's fun to be able to use it that way. Plus, it stops anyone who gets too close to you from interrupting your combos so easily. Infinity Explosion. Okay. So it does pretty good damage on its own. And you can hold it for more damage. So 1502, that's when you're holding it down. Versus not hold or pressing the button to unleash it right away. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm supposed to look at combo damage, not the individual damage. 45, 35. 6650. So it's kind of like the in between explosive wave and key explosion. Can hit pretty quickly, but does less damage. Or you can just do the move, and well, even by default, it still doesn't do as much damage. Hold it for even more damage. Not to mention, the longer you hold it down, the bigger the explosive wave. So key explosion will get you the most damage, but it will also eat up 4 bars. Versus infinity explosion on its own does the second most damage if you hold it, and you can get a pretty big explosion just from getting the maximum charge. Whereas explosive wave does the least damage, but you can use it to continue or start a combo. And if there's so many people surrounding you, or some other person trying to flank you, you can use explosive wave to negate their attack and hit them while still continuing your combo on the other person. And they can be used to negate other key blasts. Well, supers actually. I don't know about ultimates. Speaking of ultimates, we have two: Final Explosion and Super Key Explosion. So first, Final Explosion. So yeah, pretty good amount of startup, and that was just 3 bars, but it was still good damage. and it has a huge blast radius. I think out of all the key explosion ultimates, I believe Final Explosion has the most range. Now here's how much damage you get from holding down the button. And that's from all the stamina I used. I don't know too many other ultimates that do that, where instead of your key, it's your stamina that gets used up. And that was a super key explosion. So like Final Explosion, Super Key Explosion has a pretty big blast range. Not as big as Final Explosion, but still pretty big. Plus it has less startup too. But if you hold it down, it uses up your key. So it gives you good variety. You could either use Final Explosion and potentially kill your target plus multiple other targets, or get them to near death. It does a lot more damage than Super Key Explosion, basically. But it uses up your stamina, and once the attack ends, you're left in basically a petrified or stunned state till you fall and hit the ground. Not to mention all the stamina you use up. Definitely would be good for Majins, especially the female Majins, since they have the highest stamina recover or the fastest stamina recovery. Whereas with Super Key Explosion, instead of your stamina, it just uses up your key. So that's the main difference. Final Explosion it has a bigger blast radius and uses stamina instead of key if you want to reserve your key. Super Key Explosion uses your key, so if you want to reserve your stamina but you're fine with using all your key, and go for that. But Super Key Explosion has less range, has less range and less damage. But the startup and recovery are a lot better. Let's see what it looks like with Super Saiyan Blue evolved.
Here goes.
So whereas before it wasn't enough to kill Frost with Super Saiyan Blue, it can.
You came in handy after all.
Now we already saw that Final Explosion killed with just the base form. But let's see how fast it does with Blue evolved. Like, I didn't even need to use up any more of my stamina. I could have just let the attack finish.
You came in handy after all.
So it's definitely good for the Saiyans if you're the kind who just wants to use all their ki, or for Final Explosion, all your stamina in one go. And if you're it's also good for fighting off multiple opponents. If you're constantly getting flanked by a lot of people, it's the kind of moveset you would expect a final boss to use. Like the bosses they have in this game, whereas... Actually, I don't know how many of those bosses have moves that allows them to assault the area around them. But if you want to feel like a boss character in this game, then yes, the explosive build is definitely good for that. And if you're playing as a Saiyan, having something that increases your ki blast from Super Saiyan or Super Vegeta to Super Saiyan Blue and Blue Evolve also help with that. Because you already get a good amount of damage, plus the amount of extra damage you get from Blue and Blue Evolved. Whereas if you're using it with a Majin, then with Majins, at least as far as Final Explosion, it allows them to recover their stamina fast afterwards. Or something like Blaster Meteor, which it uses 3 stamina bars. That way you can use it more often and recover much faster. But in my opinion, it's definitely better for the Saiyans, because at least as far as damage wise, it's better for the Saiyans because of, again, it does good damage on its own. combined with either basic Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan Blue and Blue Evolved to get even more on top of what you already have. Whereas with the Majin build, it's better for stamina recovery, but that's really about it. So there's really nothing more to it. This is actually pretty straightforward and pretty simple to explain compared to the other builds I talked about. But that's really all for now, and I can get started on the next build I want to show off. And you all have a good day.